Hi everybody, it's Colin Stevenson here. Thank you very much for joining me once again. And I'm with my usual man here, John Lenhart, my hero. Hi, John.
Hi.
Now, last week, John and I spoke about conflict. And today we're going to have the part two, which is negative interactions. Because negative interactions always lead to more negative interactions. They can't lead to positive ones. They'll always lead to more negative. And what we are wanting and wishing for everyone watching is so that they can understand the negative interaction from the beginning, so that then they're able to take a backward step and then allow it to become positive by understanding. So, John, would you like to explain a little bit more, please?
Yeah, that was a really great introduction. So remember, we talked about the reason why people have conflicts is definitions.
Yeah.
So two people have a different definition for the same word. Two people have two different words for the same definition. So we started there. Last week, we talked about now how much damage occurs during the exchange of information. So you can start in one place, you can do something wrong, and that causes a little bit of damage, destruction. Now the interaction causes more. It turns out the interaction is actually worse than the original, statement of something wrong. And that's where things get way out of hand. And we talked about using the communication guidelines and how that makes a safe place. There's no way to abuse somebody, and how you can repair everything and how you can get everything fine.
Yeah.
But we kind of finished with, well, what if that other person just doesn't want to do that? What if they just want to be mean? What if they keep being mean to you? And so the goal, and you just said it, the backward step. I like to use the analogy of a samurai. So one of my favorite movies is The Seven Samurai by Kurosawa. One of the reasons why it's my favorite is all seven samurai represent one of the intangible drivers. So you can watch that movie and predict what each samurai is going to do if you understand their intangible driver. And there's a very famous scene. Colin put this up months ago, and I'm sure we'll put it up again with this. There's a very famous scene where there's the administrator samurai with the server samurai trying to get a group of samurai together. So they're going town to town to town. And they come to this one town, and there's a perceiver samurai fighting a townsperson with bamboo poles. And everybody in the town is watching and afraid. And the clip begins with them both striking a blow. And then the townsperson says, that's a draw. And perceivers, right? We talked about it. Yeah. They're reality junkies. He goes, I would have won. I won. You would be dead. And the townsperson's like, no, it was a draw and all this other stuff. He goes, maybe you'd want to pull out the steel. And the perceiver, in typical perceiver fashion, goes, don't throw away your life. So it's like perceiver. And he pulls out the steel. And when he does that, he pulls out the steel sword. You see the townspeople in the back, they all start moving and getting afraid. And the perceiver samurai gets calmer, takes off his hat very slowly, puts it down, and he pulls out the steel very slowly. So the first point I like to make when I go into classrooms, because the townsperson's the bully. And I like to say, does bullying work? And kids will go, no. And I go, actually it does. That bully's got the entire town afraid of him. Yep. The entire town is afraid of this bully. It works. The issue is, though, the bully's never met a samurai. So what's going on here is now the samurai is going back to his training even more. As soon as the steel's out, he's taking this even more serious. When you watch the clip, the samurai never takes a forward step. He sets his feet with the sword in front of him. He kind of rocks and resets them. And what happens is the bully is trying to get to him. And then the samurai puts two hands on his sword forward, and the bully runs backwards and screams and gets bigger. And one of the things we're going to talk about is a topic I like is game theory.
Yep.
So what game theory is how do you win the game? What's the theory behind winning the game? And at this point, the bully's got steel out. His goal is to win. That's his only goal, is to win. And if his goal is to win, the only good move you have is to yell more, get bigger, scream, try to intimidate more, because what you're doing isn't working. And intimidating less isn't going to work. You probably should quit, but then you won't win. So now game theory kicks in. And now the bully runs back. He's yelling, he's screaming. And I like to say, what causes the bully to come at the samurai? And what it is the samurai pulls the sword. The samurai takes a backward step and pulls the sword back. And that causes the bully to come running, screaming at the samurai. And what people don't notice, because it happened at the start of the clip, is when the samurai strikes the blow, he takes a backward step. He never, ever, ever, ever in the clip took a forward step. So the first rule I like to say is, if you never take a forward step at me, you're not going to get sliced.
Yeah.
I am not going to take a forward step at you. I'm going to use these communication guidelines, and every step I'm going to take is backwards. And because of that, I can feel good about everything I say and do and write on the internet. And that's a big point of what we're talking about here, is people write stuff on the internet, they attack, they bully, they yell, they scream, they act like a little kid, and then they feel bad about it. I can show you, if you follow the guidelines from the previous clip or from the previous episode, you can walk away from every interaction and never feel bad at all, and never feeling bad.
Oh, right. So much that you just said there. So first thing about the samurai and taking that backward step, okay? That backward step allows you to obviously gain clarity, set your feet and feel grounded so that you don't feel threatened anymore. You're waiting, okay? When that bully's shouting, and again, we're talking about in a classroom, we're talking about in a workplace. This can be in the home place within a relationship also. Now, everyone says, you hear, or I'm saying everyone, I take that back. A lot of people say the man always shouts, the man is this, the man is that, because he's usually statually bigger and, you know, he's louder and he's naturally stronger. But sometimes the female can be the bully and she can be the loud one, and the man, they don't realize that they taking a backward step is allowing. So again, any interaction this comes with, okay, that backward step is allowing them space to come in. You're drawing them in without taking a step and pushing them in. So you want to draw them in. Now, as you were talking about with the bully, at the end of it, what they want to do is they want to win. The samurai wants to dissolve the situation and leave it so there's no, they don't want to win. They just want it to be over, you know. But if people are taking a forward step and the other person's taking a forward step, they're both wanting to win. And all that's going to end in is destruction. All that's going to end in is pain, hurt, and then mess to clean up. And this is why I love the clip of the samurai, because people won't realize, when people don't look at things, they look at the big guy going to hit the little guy coming back and doing it, and they say, oh, well, that's fine, he's skilled. Okay, but everybody can learn that skill. Everybody can learn the skill to take the backward step. It is a choice to step forward.
Right, so I'm going to give 3 examples of exchanges online. So if you're watching this, try to put yourself in my shoes and think what you would say to see how you match up to what I say. So I'm going to do a very simple example, and I put this in one of my articles, okay? So I'm kind of reading this off a computer, but what happened was there was a post by Tim Tebow talking about winning, you know, encouraging people to win. And so what I wrote is, I said, I believe everyone is trying to win. The question is really, are people trying to win in the tangible or the intangible? So I shared on myself and I asked the question, are people trying to win tangibly or intangibly? And this is really what you're talking about, is tangibly is taking a step forward and take something. Intangibly is going to the cause and dissolving. So this guy comes on and goes, not everyone is trying to win. Trust me, John. Great article, Tim. So he just made a statement. It's not, I believe everybody's not everyone's trying to win. It's a flat statement, and his unconscious, next week we're going to talk about unconscious confrontation, but his unconscious, he just made a flat statement in front of his own unconscious that now he is responsible for putting up. It's kind of like the bully going, you know, I would have won, you know, type of thing. So I said, I believe it depends on your definition of win. So now I'm asking him his definition. That's back to definition. I'm trying to understand him. What is your definition of, quote, win? So that was my response, was I'm trying to understand you. So because here's my backward step. Maybe according to his definition of win, not everyone is trying to win. He might have a definition of win that's completely different than mine.
Yep.
That's how I could be wrong.
Yep.
So I'm saying, how can I be wrong in this? That's my backward step. How can I be wrong in this? What if his definition of win is, trying to kill someone? Then he's right. Not everybody's trying to kill someone. He's right.
Yeah.
So I ask him, what's your definition of win? John, get a life. 3 exclamation points. And then he says, have a good day, 3 exclamation points. So now notice, get a life. Like now he's taking a shot at me. He's taking a step at me. And then he's trying to feel good. Have a good day. Now, what would you do in that situation? See, the thing is, what's that?
Personally, I would say thank you.
Okay, so you can say thank you. One of the things I like to do is I like to let that sit. Because one of the things that we're going to talk about unconscious confrontation, I want to let that sit. He feels like he had the last word. But I know it wasn't satisfying to him. And I know it caused a contradiction in him because he's made an assertion. Not everyone's trying to win. I asked him for a definition. He doesn't want to give me one. And now he's told me to get a life. So now I'm going to he's waiting for me. He wants me to take a step at him. And that's the whole thing. He wants me to take a step at him and go, you, blah, 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 you, here's how you're wrong. I actually like to let that sit because he hasn't asked me a question. One of the first things I say is, did he ask me a question? No. So I let it sit for 4 hours. What do you think happens? What always happens? He's got to come at me again. He's got to, he's the bully. Now he's going to get louder, right? So now he goes, John, get out your dictionary to find the definition. I'm not in English class again, okay? It's like, now he's negotiating with me. You know what I mean? It's like I've asked you for your definition. You don't want to give your definition. And this is how I started on LinkedIn. No one wants to give, like 94% of people don't want to give their definition. So he doesn't want to give his definition. So now he's telling me how to go get a definition. And now he's trying to negotiate. Okay, are we done? Did I settle? Have you settled me? I'm trying to settle. This isn't settling me. I'm doing fine. He's not doing fine. He is absolutely not doing fine. So now I can do my final shot. This is my backwards step. I'm trying to understand you. Okay? I'm trying to see how your assertion might be right. I'm actually trying, I didn't say this part, but I'm actually trying to build your case. I am here trying to advocate for you. Give me your definition, and I'm going to make an argument for you. I am going to do that, and I will do that. We've talked about that. Uncle Iro, I will do that.
Yeah.
I'm saying to him, I'm trying to do that for you. You know what? I'm trying to see how you are right. Would you rather everyone not understand you? And that's the brutal question we're going to talk about next week on unconscious confrontation. I am offering to understand him. He is choosing not to be understood. Now his unconscious brain is going to look at him and go, so you don't want to be understood? So you can't complain anymore for the rest of your life when people don't understand you without feeling a tremendous internal beating. Johnny boy, you are not my shrink. Get a job. I didn't need to say anything more after that because you know what? He doesn't want to be understood.
Yeah.
He does not want to be understood. I can walk away from that. So that's like the simplest way is I never get into name calling, I never get making the statements, and my brain is literally backward step. I am trying to be his lawyer. I'm going to try to make his case for him.
Yeah. Now, I have seen you do this on many occasions, and I have also seen it when people, I like to sometimes, I know statements aren't always the best to make, okay, and I understand that with myself. I like to make statements sometimes, okay, and call it a bad habit, but I don't do it to cause pain. I do it to make people think, and then they can choose whatever reaction they want. So the intention is not because I believe that this is the only way. It's you think about this statement and take it the way that you want to, and they'll always come back to that one truth that we speak about. So because I do it slightly different, I don't believe it's completely unhealthy, okay? And most of my interactions with it are quite healthy, but there's sometimes that I don't get out of my depth, but because I've been doing this with you for a year, sometimes you just need to call in the big guns. And
Oh,
I remember there was an interaction that I had, and I think I had about 7 or 8 different messages, and it just got more and more. And I was like, I didn't panic. I didn't do. I said, "Oh, I know John Lenhart would love to come into this conversation." And it wasn't because then after that I took a backward step, so there was still only 2 people in the conversation. You see, so then it was again one-on-one, and you got the definition that I wasn't able to get.
right. And there's a very well respected psychotherapist who also does what you do, and did it last week and this week. I'm actually going to have an example from her from last week for this week, and then I'm going to use an example from this week for next week, because so I love it. I love it when people pull me in, to sort these things out, because I'm trying to bring this group together, and I'm going to show you that. Now, the second example is an example of platitudes. So one of the things I've been doing lately is people will state a platitude, which is just an effect. They'll state, hey, be happy today, or try your best today. And so I like to ask people, do you think that is helping people? Do you think when you say that it's helping people, do you think you're giving a value? And when they say yes, I say, so would it be a value to you if I said that? In fact, how much would you pay me, or what would you give to me if I said that to you? No answer.
Yeah.
And so that's how I deal with these platitudes, is I'm starting to act. So in this one, I'm going to use, I responded to a platitude basically with a platitude. Okay. So this person, she's a Christian, and she goes, 2 things can be true at the same time. You can be confident and humble, and you should be. And she put a smiley face with glasses on. Now, I know she's a Christian, so one of the things I want to do is I want to talk about this confidence and humble. And you and I eventually are going to talk about humble, because humble is very important. In fact, we'll probably talk about it next week, this definition of humble. But this is one of the ways to set up the humble thing. So I said to her, this is completely dependent on your definition for humble. So you can be confident and humble if you have the right definition of humble. So all I'm doing is stating a platitude back. This is completely dependent on your definition for humble. And one of the points I like to make to Christians is this. If your definition for humble, if your definition for humble is non-contradictory, then you can help other people do it intentionally. So that, again, that's another effect. I'm being like her. She just stated an effect. I'm stating effect. But now I want to get to, she's a Christian, so I want to make this point. If your definition for humble involves being wrong or making a mistake, then Jesus was not humble, or he was not the Son of God. So what I'm saying is, one of the things I love to deal with Christians is I ask them their definition of humble, and then I ask them if Jesus is humble, and it frees them up. It freaks them up. It freezes them up and freaks them out. So I said, mental health begins with definition. Deceptions ignores providing definitions. She wrote, that's interesting. Appreciate your thoughts. So that's great. That's a great interaction. I was a platitude. She was a platitude. I was a platitude back. Well, the next morning I get this comment. And this guy addressed his original poster, and he goes, for me, it was one of the least interesting things I have ever read, which is sharing on himself. That's great. Quite frankly, it appears manipulative. That's opinion, that's cool. Engages in falsehoods. Now he just made a statement on me. And he just made an assertion. Adds nothing of value. Oh, that's interesting. It'll be interesting to see what he thinks value is. Displays unhealthy narcissism. Again, I need some definition, but now he's going off, okay? And appears covertly abusive or hostile. Again, appears, he qualified it. You got to get the break on that. But this guy just yelling, screaming, here we go, samurai time. So what do? You guys calm, the steel comes out. I said, I'm sorry you feel that way. One of the best ways to deal with people who are narcissists is to say, I'm sorry you feel that way, okay? Yeah. I said, what is your definition of humble? Again, I'm gonna try to argue for him. Maybe, I want to hear what it is. But I have an inkling he triggered on the Jesus comment, and now he's just screaming, but he's not trying to understand me. And that's fine, but that's his issue. And now the exchange is getting worse. He goes, John Lenhart, had you commented in the same fashion that I remarked regarding on one of my posts, I would have removed it and removed you as a connection as well. By the covertly aggressive tone of your comment. Now he's making a statement. it is clear that you are not the type of person, now another statement, you are not the type of person who engages people respectfully. I do not intend to engage you in communication. Okay? So now he's just yelling, screaming, coming at me. So now it's time to take the backward step. So I say to him, I literally mirrored the original poster's comment, stating an effect without giving the cause. So first of all, whatever he said about me, he has to say about the original poster, who he likes. So now I've just pointed out, the way you attacked me is the way you attacked the original poster. I think it is interesting what your title is. So on LinkedIn, he has his title next to his name. You know how, everybody's got their title next to their name. Guess what this guy's title is? His title is College Abuse and Bullying Whistleblower. This guy represents himself as an expert in dealing with college abuse and being a whistleblower on bullying people. I said, I think it's interesting that you're a college abuse and bullying whistleblower when what you did to me is bullying. So here's the definition of bullying, and I gave it to him because he knows this. You projected an intent on my words without understanding me. In fact, you never asked me questions to understand me. You avoided answering the question I asked you, which means you don't want to be understood. So here's the thing, is the 3 guidelines. That's why these 3 guidelines are so important. If you follow the 3 guidelines, you can't bully a person. If you do the opposite of the 3 guidelines, you are bullying someone. This bullying expert bullied me. So what happened? 3 hours later, he took everything down. I made a copy of it all, so I had it, but he suddenly woke up and went, oh, wait a minute. I did bully him. I better take it all down. And he took it all down.
Right, okay. So this has opened up a whole new can of worms, right? So, and well, I like to we'll go back to the home situations, right? We'll go back to being in the home. And when someone comes home and they make a statement, they both had a rubbish day at work. So whether it's partners, whether it's parent and child, anything, and they come home and they say for talking, say they go in, they call them something, you've not done this, and they're picking a fight with, so you've not done the dishes. And that person says, what do you mean you're just attacking me? I'm just in the door. I've had a long day. And they're like, well, you haven't done the dishes. I expect these to come home. Not once did they come home and say, did you have a good day? How have you felt today? And again, you've been back to taking the trash out. And so it's, again, similar to that. It's like asking the question before you make the statement. Because when you make that statement based on knowledge that you don't have, that is bullying. And you can even bully somebody on a level where it's not hurtful. So anytime that you make a statement without knowing is bullying, regardless of whether it's to hurt somebody or not, it will leave that person to feel weaker.
Right, and you're projecting intent. That's the whole issue with all of these online interactions, is that somebody's projecting an intent on somebody, and I say this in the schools, is that, a kid, some kid does something to him and the kid immediately goes, you wanted to hurt me. You woke up this morning and your first goal in life was to hurt me and you came over and hurt me. And it's like, we jump in and we go, wait a minute. Do you realize what you did? Why did you do it? Oh, you didn't intend, you didn't know it. And then you look at the first kid and go, have you ever done something you didn't intend? And it's like, that's the issue, is that we project intent. When we judge everybody by their behavior, but we want to be judged by our intention. And so that's the big disconnect. So the final example here I have is somebody, you and I both know is really interesting. So what happened was I was on a site where this guy talked about how to help people become men, guys become men. And I shared on there basically that Jonathan and I did a course for 10 years where we helped boys become men. Basically, we helped 19 to 29-year-olds become men. And what happened was it was wildly successful and people loved it. And it's hard to do it now because you really need to pick people who don't know each other because these guys won't share. So when I shared on this post, I said, basically all of our work is based on Jonathan and myself running a class for 10 years called How to Be a Man. Wives, mothers, and girlfriends would send their husbands, dads, and boyfriends to us. We'd meet once a week for 2 hours. At the end of 8 weeks, there were men They were men to the point other women would ask these wives, mothers, and girlfriends what happened, and then send their mails to us. And this, and again, the group consisted of 19 to 29-year-olds. So what happened was this person jumps on, not the person who has the blog, but this other person who goes, quote, wives, mothers, and girlfriends would send their husbands, dads, and boyfriends to us to learn how to be a man. How utterly emasculating. Okay, so now he's taking a shot at me, basically saying this is, I'm being really emasculating or whatever. So now what is it you want to say to this guy? Because what he ends up saying is, I know how to be a man.
Yeah. Okay. So what's your definition of being emasculated?
Well, so he goes, I know how to be a man. It is a society that has been created for us that seems to be against us being men. Today's climate is as unusual and balanced. Now men seem to find it difficult to shout, raise a voice, have a voice, say no, get angry, have testosterone, be boisterous, be destructive, be right. I wish society would get off men's back for a bit so we can concentrate on working together through others' inherent differences and equals. Please. So now here's an interaction that everybody knows it's going to go bad. There's no way you're going to talk to this. There's no way you can talk to some guy riled up, right?
Yep.
I say, what is your definition for man? So now here's where 94% of people run away. He goes, what I say is for me, not what someone else expects me to be. Now I'm going to tell you right now, I love that answer. That there are big people who will not respond to that question. I've told you that, that's how you and I met, Colin. You're the first one in 2 months. The fact that this guy even responded makes me kind of smile and go, this is a good guy. Really? I think this is a good guy. And so what happens is I let it, so what do? I let it simmer. Again, I let that simmer. And what happens? He's unsettled, which is great, which is even more proof. He's working on it. He goes, I can't be described like that, defined. I change day to day. I'm wild at heart. My nature is pure, untamable. He's trying to settle himself, but he's I'm sitting there going, this is a good guy. So I write, I'm trying to understand you. Do you not want to be understood? And that is, we're going to talk about next week. That's a hammer question. Because if he walks away right now, he is going to be miserable. Okay? What do you think he says to that?
It sounds like he's going to say, obviously, I would like to be.
He said, thank you. I appreciate that.
Nice.
Nice. Incredible.
Nice.
Incredible. I'm just sick of the classification and quantifying all the time. I resist the boxes and the limitation of it all. So I say, it looks like you're saying you can't be understood. Is that correct? I'm requalifying the question. And he goes, which I loved the typing of the which is meaning amazing. This guy's incredible. And he starts talking about at times we struggle for looking for understanding. Perhaps it is human to do so. Very philosophical, very poetic, is awesome. His explanation was really great. And at one point he says, thank you for the opportunity to talk though, so I'm feeling heard. And it's like, here's the thing. How many people think that interaction, the way it started, is going to go bad, that you should walk away, that guy's a horrible person?
Most people would walk away from that situation.
I backward stepped, and that guy put down the steel and went, let's talk. Let's talk. The samurai doesn't want to fight. The samurai doesn't look for a fight.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there going, there's so much of that going on. And next week, I want to share another example where that happened again. A situation you'd think there's no way, these people are riled up, they're yelling, they're screaming, they're pointing fingers. There's no way that they're going to be able to be reached.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you right now, the reason why these people riled up aren't being reached is because of you. How are you approaching? If you're taking steps at these people, then you're part of the problem. And the experts tell us to take steps at people. The experts are causing this problem. And you and I, Colin, been offering this for months. And no one is interested. LinkedIn's not interested. Everybody's just interested in facilitating all this arguing on Facebook or LinkedIn and everything else. Whereas if they'd listen to you and watch this post, all this would be dissolved.
Yeah, facilitators and enablers. The world is full of them, and that is a statement that is true. That's not to cause a fight, that is fact. Now, just before we go, I'd just like to finish up on, I remember having a conversation with you about a couple of different couples that I've been to in relationships. And one of the last ones that I went to that I had a session with about the way that he spoke to her regarding and not understanding her emotions. And so he speaks, she becomes emotional to what he said. She then takes a forward step based on being emotionally controlled, and then they both clash. She ends up more hurt, he ends up more angry, then he feels bad. Then he goes back to feeling, he has to make another statement to make things even worse. They can't dissolve it. Now, when I spoke to these people a couple of weeks ago, I explained about taking the backward step, asking the question, why did you feel the need to act like that? Why do you feel that this is the way that you have got to speak to me? Would you like me to speak to you like that? Would this be all right if a stranger did this to you? Now, I explained to them that they probably won't get an answer. But at the point where they don't get the answer is the point where they can turn and walk in the other direction and leave it with them. Don't stand there and coax an answer out of them, because again, what you're doing is you're pushing onto this way of waiting for this answer. They will become stressed because they've already got the unconscious confrontation, and then they will break through that and they will come in and give you an answer that you don't want. So just walk away.
Right. So, and we'll talk in detail about unconscious confrontation, but the thing you're doing there is you're taking them outside the game to a bigger purpose. The reason why people act that way is game theory. Is if I'm arguing with you and my goal is to win, then I got to bluff, I got to get louder, I got to take more shots. I'm not going to win not taking shots. Okay, and if your goal is to win, then all of society is going to lose. And so what you and I have been showing people is, what's your real goal? What is your goal, to win this thing and to prove your point? Or is your goal to take a backward step and facilitate, reconciliation, facilitate everything else? And that's why it's really easy when you see experts talk. If they're taking forward steps, they're teaching you how to win. Yeah. If they're taking backward steps, they're teaching us how to have a better planet.
Yeah, love that. No, thank you very much, John. And thank you again for your time. It's been absolutely magic. And we will be doing another one next week just to finish this off as our part 3. So thank you very much. Have a good day. Take care, John.
Bye.
Cheerio.